Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson, proud to be serving as your host for this fine program. Locked On Blue Devils is a daily podcast devoted to everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. You can follow us on whatever podcast platform you so choose. I just ask, if it's on the Apple Podcast platform, that you take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Your support means the absolute world. You can also watch the show daily, each and every day on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to climb towards 1,000 subscribers. That's our next big goal here on Locked On Blue Devils, and can't wait to celebrate that milestone with you all. On today's show, really excited to have my good pal Dustin from the Devil's Den podcast here with us to talk about the state of Duke men's basketball ahead of Saturday's game in Atlanta taking on Georgia Tech. Follow us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils, and I'm on Twitter at _JJ_Jackson_. And without further ado, I now bring on my friend Dustin once again from the Devil's Den podcast. Dustin, certainly do appreciate the time. How are things for you in your world?
Everything's good other than all this rain, JJ.
Yeah. It's been a rainy week here in the Hoop State this week.
If your job involves traveling,
right? Not ideal. Yeah. Not ideal. That's for sure. Well, look, and you could call it rainy a little bit. Miserable conditions regarding the Duke men's basketball. Cloudy now. Thank you. That's the good word. Cloudy for this Duke men's basketball program. What have you made of the week so far?
Blacksburg's always Blacksburg. So
you said it last week.
Yeah, so it's always tough. I think that's now, 5 of our last 6 that we've lost there. But a chance to bounce back and get things right down in Atlanta this weekend.
As Duke will get set to take on Georgia Tech. Again, a 3-point loss for the Blue Devils on Monday night against Virginia Tech. And at the time of this recording, we're still waiting for official word in regards to Dariq Whitehead's status ahead of Saturday's game and then going forward into the future as well. Dustin, Whitehead has been a player who really started to come into his own. And anytime you watch an injury like that take place, you worry about how serious it is. And injuries just suck, man. They really do. Yeah,
the old Duke foot injury. It's the first time that's ever happened, I think. It seems like we get a foot injury every year, every other year, twice a year. I think Tatum and Bolden both had theirs at the same time. Kyrie's foot almost fell off for 2 months. So Dariq, when I saw him go down, it looked really bad. I think the reports coming out is it's probably not as bad as we initially thought. Still wouldn't expect to see him for a couple of weeks at least. But just hopeful that he's going to be able to play again. Sometimes those things can take it all away. Doesn't take a lot. So just thankful that he's going to be okay and back in the uniform.
I don't know the answer to this, and I'm going to get to know you a little bit better after this, Dustin. And so this might not be speaking to you whatsoever, but I know there are some listeners out there that are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But Dustin, your sports gaming in your life, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever it may be, are you someone that when you're setting up a franchise mode, a career, playing the game whatsoever, do you like to turn injuries off? Is that something that you tend to like to do? Because people wish you could do that with Duke basketball, man.
Well, I mean, if there was a button for it, for sure. In the games, I don't. It's been a while since I've played.
Same.
A lot of
Same.
Duke fans.
I was always too stubborn and wanted it to be as realistic as possible, and was like, "Well, that just wouldn't happen in real life. That you could turn off."
Yeah, I saw one on Twitter. Somebody was playing, and Anthony Davis, broke his ankle on Imagine that.
Goes to show, it is pretty realistic after all. Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Do you turn injuries off when you're gaming? Because I know that's something that a lot of people want to do.
And I don't think it was even an option to do. Like
fair.
NBA March Madness games,
You wouldn't be able to do something like that. Yeah. And games continue to get better by the year, I guess. It's insane what all you can do there. So, yeah, I would love to hear from folks on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils and on the YouTube comments. Do you turn injuries off when you're playing a video game? So we take a look at this Duke basketball team and Dariq Whitehead's injury in particular. As you said, rumblings out there that it's not going to be as serious, might miss a couple of weeks here and there. That's a good thing for Duke to know that there is still the chance he could come back and play again this season.
Oh, yeah, very much. I mean, I wouldn't say that everything depends on him because we've played without him, but it's nice to have that piece for sure.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was coming into his own. He's been one of our better three-point shooters. Really has that kind of mid-range game too. Hasn't really been attacking the rim like I thought he might coming out of high school, but yeah, it's just and plus what he allows us to do defensively, switching everything. Just being that guy that we can play a smaller lineup. It's going to be tough without him, though.
It's funny. You mentioned the 3-point shooting for Whitehead, and he did, 10 points against Virginia Tech, 2 for 2 from 3-point range. Also had a long jump shot where his foot was on the line, and I swear that's happened a couple of times with Whitehead already, where it's
worst
like
shot in basketball.
And Whitehead's guilty of it from time to time, and it's like, my brother, you are incredible at these shots. Just take little step back, just a little bit, to get those toes behind the line and make it a 3-point shot.
Both did the
Roach
same thing.
is guilty of that. Yes,
he
absolutely.
Did it in Virginia Tech game back to back with
You're right.
7 to 9 minutes left in the first half. Roach did his little step back, but had 1 foot inside and 1 foot behind, and then Dariq, of course, did the same thing, just stepping into it and stepping over. But
long twos are the worst.
Man,
I'd rather that not be a shot at all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we'll see what it looks like for Whitehead moving forward and how that kind of shifts things for Duke men's basketball rotation-wise. I do want to talk about that because I do think that's a big conversation to have. What could change? And we'll do that after our first time out here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils is brought to you by our very good friends over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are here, and we're so excited about this new sports betting partner that we've got with Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. I'm not telling you anything you don't know already. FanDuel is that amazing. If you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers can join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 bet, just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, again, all of your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props and so much more. Big games coming up this weekend. Conference championship weekend set to be had on Sunday. The Eagles, about a field goal favorite over the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, Kansas City and Cincinnati, a straight-up pick-em to see who will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. All of that and more at FanDuel, a proud presenting sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Welcome back into today's program. JJ Jackson alongside my pal Dustin Shue. Let me hold up and go right there for a second. Who's making it to the Super Bowl on Sunday, Dustin? I know you'll be watching the games. We got some good ones coming up. I'm glad that right now we've got KC Cincinnati as a pick'em because that game really is. I have who gets the ball last, maybe between Burrow and Mahomes is going to decide who wins it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, that's, that wasn't that the game last year that they played last year. So might be a repeat of the last Super Bowl. Like I said, as a Panthers fan, once they go out, I'm just kind of tuned out of football. I'll watch the Super Bowl, but no rooting interest. And, I was hoping Danny Dimes was going to do something.
There you go. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
Should be fun on Sunday. That's for sure. A few weeks away from the Super Bowl now at this point. All right, so Duke basketball gets set for a game on Saturday in Atlanta taking on Georgia Tech. No Dariq Whitehead likely for the Blue Devils. He'd been starting recently. Of course, Jeremy Roach is coming back, his second game after missing 3 games with that toe injury once again. What does that starting 5 look like then? Because you've got Roach and Proctor at that ball handling spot. Likely one of them could replace Dariq Whitehead, who had been starting as of late. What is that starting 5 going to look like if you had to guess?
Yeah, I mean, Roach came off the bench the last 2 games, so I think he's just going to flip right back in the lineup. Yeah, so Roach, Proctor, Mitchell, Flip, and Young would be my guess.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. That's a good starting 5. Young, there's people that love his game, people that hate his game. I think the guy hustles. he gives it his all. Does he have his limitations? Sure. But there's been a lot of balls, loose balls, 50-50 balls that he's been on the ground for, and I give him his props for that. So give him his minutes.
What is the biggest thing you're reading and hearing about Dereck Lively over the last few games? It feels to me like things are obviously getting better. The counting stats are not impressive really whatsoever, but picking up big highlight dunks every now and again, and does feel like Lively's getting more comfortable out there.
I think 100%.
Okay,
he's starting to the game starting
I'm glad
to slow
I'm
down.
not too crazy then.
No, the Virginia Tech game, I know he caught one alley from Roach. He caught one from Proctor. There was one play late that we set a pick and roll for him. Roach hit him in the middle, and he immediately gave it to Flip, who was cutting down the baseline. And Flip could have dunked it, got fouled, missed the layup, but hit both his free throws.
Right.
So, Lively's he's coming into his own. He's not going to set the world on fire in the next couple of games, but slowly progressing. That's all you can ask for. Big men typically take longer to develop in college basketball.
For whatever reason. Yeah, no, you're right about that. It's good to see him getting more comfortable. Again, this past week, we saw another epic performance from Filipowski, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 4 straight double-doubles. I put out on Twitter, again, at _JJ_Jackson_ the shooting splits from three-point range his first 10 games compared to the last 10 that he's played. He's fallen off a bit, and it would be way worse if it weren't for a 4 of 8 performance from three-point range against Virginia Tech. That was great to see.
Oh, 100%. That Virginia Tech game, that's one of the best performances individually I've seen. That kid was doing it a little bit from everywhere. He was hitting 4 for 8 from 3. He had a Euro step in a 7-footer Euro step on a fast break. He had a Carmelo back down shake, turn right over mutts. He just did a little bit of everything. So I thought he really showed off for whatever NBA scouts were. They were probably salivating watching this kid. I'd love to have him back for a sophomore year, but wouldn't hold it against him if he went and cashed that lottery ticket either.
So first 10 games, 13 of 36 from three-point range for Filipowski. That is 36.1%. The last 10, 8 of 37, 21.6%. So a 15% drop-off. 8 makes the last 10 games, and 4 of them came against Virginia Tech.
Exactly. Yeah, that's there's the freshman wall, where you just kind of get tired. And you saw in that Virginia Tech game, Flip was gassed for a lot of that second half. So that affects your shots. You don't get as much lift on, especially your 3-point shots.
Hopefully that is the 4 of 8 is a sign of more to come,
Sure.
And,
yeah, I'd love that.
The next player to get that shot going from the outside is going to be Tyrese Proctor to see those percentages go up, right?
Yeah, can't go much further down, right?
True.
So, glass half full guy these days.
Yeah.
I think Tyrese shows that he can shoot it. Like you said, I'd love to see it come up, get a little bit more consistent. He hit a big one with about 40 seconds left to tie the game, which made me kind of, to be honest with you, cringe when he took the last one because of his odds. You make your last one 24%, probably due for 3 misses now. So, but you got to take that shot in that situation. Flip, I think
you're right. It was a good look.
It was a good look. It was a clean look. I think the play, watching it again, it was for Flip. Ryan was going to come up and set him a screen. But once Flip turned and had Padula on his back, Proctor's wide open right there. So wide open shots are good shots. Put it up on the rim and, just didn't go in.
Yeah, it's tough to see. And we'll see if Duke can kind of bounce back from the loss against Virginia Tech, going to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech this upcoming Saturday. 9 total makes from three-point range for the Duke basketball team. And again, not many of them coming from Jacob Grandison, who transfers in from Illinois, and that's kind of what people were expecting. Also, not many attempts coming from him either when he's been out there.
Yeah, I remember he took one in the corner. That's probably the only one I can.
It's the only shot he had.
Yeah, took the one in the corner. It was a quick shot. It was tough. I like him shooting in the corner, so I didn't mind that shot at all. But yeah, he's got to, if you're going to be out there, I need you to give us something on offense too. I'm not saying that he needs to just, chunk up threes, but I'd like to see him shooting more for sure.
You're the photographic memory basketball fan that everyone wishes they could be, Dustin, because I'm just saying names out there and you're remembering who was guarding them and where the looks were coming. Like, this is amazing.
Well, I really appreciate it. I mean, that's one of the reasons I love being basketball, man. I don't know.
Right. No, I tend to be that way from time to time as well. I'm just hoping we can get more Jacob Grandison makes in our life. Maybe get Jaden Shoot out there, my friend. That's what I'd love to see at this point.
I think Georgia Tech might be his time. Hopefully, there should be a little bit of separation in there. Don't knock on wood. We probably should have had that at BC, and we needed Flip to bail us out with free throws down the stretch to win that game. So at Georgia Tech game, the game against Louisville, I think Jaden should see some minutes. Hopefully he's just ready to play whenever he gets his name called.
Let's leave folks with this thought as we get ready to go into our final timeout here on the program today. Duke is getting set to take on Georgia Tech on Saturday in Atlanta at McCamish Pavilion. Georgia Tech is 8-12 overall on the season. They are 1-9 in ACC play so far this year. The ESPN matchup predictor with their basketball analytics staff give the Blue Devils an 81.3% chance to win the basketball game. We will see if that holds true come Saturday when the Duke Blue Devils take the hardwood. Locked On Blue Devils here today. Thanks so much for listening to us each and every day. As soon as our show is over, make sure you go check out our brand new podcast. It's Locked On College Basketball. I was on the show earlier this week. Big thanks to Isaac Shade and Andy Patton for giving me the invite to talk a little bit more about our Duke Blue Devils. It's everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, you can hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Final few moments here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside my pal Dustin Shue, a co-host for the Devil's Den podcast. Dustin, tell me a little bit about your podcast. You guys will have an episode coming out prior to that Georgia Tech game. If folks aren't aware of what you guys do, you sit around, you talk Duke basketball. It's amazing. Listen, tell me a little bit about the guys you do the show with.
Yeah, Josh and Roll. Those are two guys that honestly I met through the internet on a Duke Facebook page 15 years ago. And those guys just were as passionate about it as I was. Loved to really kind of get into it, dig a little deeper below the surface. So we do chats twice a week at least, and throw it out on wherever you get your podcast.
I love it. Make sure you check it out after this. So Duke is 14-6 right now. They lose to Virginia Tech. You mentioned we're so dialed in to message boards, to Facebook groups, to Twitter comments, to all the places we shouldn't be, right? I'm curious, though, for those that quite honestly might be a little wiser than you and I both, if they've been missing the internet discourse that's been taking place right now about the state of Duke basketball, about Jon Scheyer as the head coach, just about everything. What is a summation right now, would you say, of the Duke basketball fan on the internet?
I guess it depends on the demographic. My age and older seem to be kind of, this is what we probably thought was going to happen. And there's younger guys that never experienced a down basketball season, so they think we're supposed to be national champions from the gate. I had a lot of people saying Virginia Tech was a bad loss. It was a Q1 loss. It was a loss that Vegas predicted us to lose. Ken Pom predicted us to lose. So, yeah, they were 1-8 or whatever, lost their last 7. But those were all close games, and Virginia Tech's always tough to play in Blacksburg. So it wasn't the end of the world to lose there. I think we've got 11 games left in the ACC. 6 of them are at home, 5 are on the road, and we just need to take care of home and still 1 or 2 on the road, and I think we'll be in a good spot.
What's the biggest complaint you hear or see right now about Jon Scheyer, the coach?
The Jaden Shoot stuff has really picked up.
It's up there, yeah.
It's picking up a lot, mainly, and I get it. We lack shooting a lot of times. We have these offensive droughts, but I'm one of those people that, not to say you can't question the coach, but I'm not there in practice every day, and that's John's job. It's his livelihood, depends on him winning basketball games. So if he had some secret formula and he was just choosing not to use it for whatever reason, that's not very smart of him. And I think he's a pretty smart guy.
Looking at the future of Duke basketball, because, again, we don't anticipate a coaching change being had. Jon Scheyer will be the Duke basketball coach next season.
Yeah.
That is all but certain at this point. 3 McDonald's All-Americans are named for next year's basketball team for Duke.
Yeah, 3 well-deserved. I thought we got 1 snub. Caleb Foster obviously had been the part for his 4 years. So I don't think TJ Powers was qualified for it. I think the same kind of thing would flip. He's a 5th-year guy. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys bring when they get in Durham. I think they're going to bring a lot to us.
Jared McCain, Mackenzie Mbako, Sean Stewart, the 3 players that were named to the McDonald's All-American team. And yeah, I think those 3 guys in particular are going to be fun to watch in the years to come for Duke hoops. So
yeah, McCain
might only be around for 1 year, but hey.
I think there's a couple of them they're expecting to have for a little. I think it's reflected in what we're not really recruiting a lot of guys in 24. So I think John's, thinking, hey, this guy, there's going to be a couple guys coming back, and that's good for us. I want to get older too. With the transfer portal, you got to have some vets on the team at least.
Because the 24 class has been a little bit smaller in nature so far, so that is a fair point to look at.
Yeah, I think he's concocted a nice little plan.
Don't doubt Jon Scheyer is what we're trying to tell the internet.
The Boozer twins and Cooper Flag started
the following year. Yes, keep it going. I love that. I love that. You think Duke gets it done on Saturday against Georgia Tech?
Oh man, I hope so. Yeah. If not,
3 p.m. Eastern start. You think they can do it?
Yeah, 3 p.m. That's all right for me. I don't mind that. That's that kind of mid. I don't like that noon game.
Right.
That noon game has me.
It's too early for everybody.
Too right. For too long. So 3 p.m. I'll be kind of winding down. I might take a nap afterwards.
There you go. But you think Duke can get it done?
I think they will get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's what I love to hear. Well, Dustin, thank you as always for coming on the podcast. It's good to hear you here on the show. Follow Dustin on Twitter at Dustin_shoe. And let's do it again next week. What do you say, my friend?
Anytime.
All right. That's my pal Dustin Shoe joining us here on Locked On Blue Devils. Thank you as always for your support of the program. Find us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils. I'm on Twitter at _JJ_Jackson_. That's going to do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you soon. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.